Hello there. Welcome to Radio Free Wall Street. Our 5 o'clock New York Times show every day, and we love it. And we got an interesting subject we want to talk to you about. And that is the craziness in the oil market, okay? We've got oil that's been running higher and higher and higher. And the reality is that despite the blow and go, we got the old trick of oil ships full of crude oil being used to inventory. Why? Well, you can hide it. Now, we have got record production out of the United States of America. And we have got oil demand that is basically slowing. Why? The price is too high. Global economy is in trouble, and dollars soaring. Now, remember, oil is priced in dollars. And as oil goes higher and higher, and then you go higher and higher in dollars, people are seeing a huge increase in this stuff. And that curtails the demand, especially in third world countries, right? That consumer has no extra money. And just the slightest increase in gasoline has a devastating effect on their economies. It brings in inflation. It brings in higher transportation costs. It lowers consumer disposable income. And it's been legendary how these incredible spikes for no reason in oil are devastating to everyone in the world. Now, there is no reason for oil to be at the price it's at, okay? We're at damn near knocking on the door of $80 a barrel in Brent. Okay, that is a really high number. In U.S. West Texas Intermediate, we're also seeing high prices. Okay, but the interesting thing is oil has kind of gotten a little stopping point here. You may notice that it's been playing around the highs and not able to break out. And the reason why is oil at this level is bringing on U.S. production like gangbusters, okay? We got oil at $72 a barrel. It hit $72.90 today, almost $73. And that is a big number. Now, let me tell you what that does. Forget we're going to be conservative. Forget we're going to be paying back shareholders. None of that's happening. Oil companies, especially the ones that are fracking, are borrowing all the money they can lay their hands on. Banks are only too willing to loan them money at two things: the highest interest rates in 10 years and oil prices that have done a moonshot. See, you got to remember, these fracking companies are profitable at $40, $45 a barrel oil. 50 takes everybody to the party. 60, it's dancing the jig. 70, oh my God, it's like a dream come true. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have bottlenecks. I'm sure you've heard about that. Bottlenecks means that the oil has trouble getting to the market because the pipelines don't exist. You know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, in this case, the well comes first. Once the well's in, once the field is proven, then the infrastructure follows like the pipeline. So we have got oil wells that are far and ahead of our ability to transport to the market. Now, how do you think that's going to work out? Well, the answer is going to be is the pipelines are coming on big time. Oil storage facilities are being built left and right. And guess what? Oil export terminals are the hot new proposition. This means that America is producing more oil than ever before. It is now exporting more oil than ever before. And that means, bottom line is, this price is doomed. Now, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? I can't tell you. I come to a major decision time after we get out of the driving season this summer. And that puts me October, November, December for a very interesting time for oil to collapse. Now, here's the situation. What no one is telling you is that oil at this level is increasingly a crisis for the rest of the world. Now, there's more. What's driving oil? Well, if U.S. is producing record amounts, if the market is well supplied, if they're hiding oil offshore, why are we having this party? Well, it's the fear of sanctions. In other words, it is fear that is driving the market of an event that hasn't happened yet, and an event that may not happen. You know, buy the rumor, sell the facts. Well, what happens when sanctions don't go on? What happens if Venezuela still produces 1.5 million barrels a day? The two big drivers of the energy oil equation is the Venezuelan crisis, and it really is a crisis, and whether or not U.S. will put more sanctions on Venezuela that will directly affect its ability to export oil. Now, let me tell you something. This is the land of smugglers and drug dealers. Do you really believe that Venezuela oil is not going to come to market? If they have it, they'll sell it. If they sell it, they'll be paid for it, and they'll export it. The question is what goes on in their infrastructure. Well, they've pretty much leveled off. They're producing 3 million barrels a day. And underinvestment, not paying the workers, throwing out the oil companies, has brought that down to 1.5 million barrels a day. Reality is that that's a sustainable level. In other words, they have got the infrastructure for it. They've got the personnel for it. They can capitalize the projects and make it work. They're not in a position to increase it, but guess what? Most people don't know. Russia has been in there with $5 billion. China's been in there with $7 billion. And through the back door, the sanctions on the Russians are paying off on the sanctions on the Venezuelan. You know, friends in need, friends indeed. Well, what's happening, Russia's become an expert at getting around sanctions. And that, should we say, expertise is more than for sale. It's part of a package. You take a loan from Russia. They, like any loan shark, they loan you the money. You don't pay it back. That's okay. They make you another deal. And every day that goes by, Russia and China are getting deeper and deeper into the country with the largest reserves in the world, okay? Venezuela could easily pump, with infrastructure in place, 20 million barrels a day. Easily. It could double the production of Russia, double the production of Saudi Arabia, double the production of the United States of America. Guess what? The oil is very close to the coast. It's not like the United States where you've got this huge landmass that takes you 1,000 miles from an export coast. Venezuela oil is very close to internal infrastructure like great rivers, very close to the coastline, very readable and easily accessible to market. In other words, what I'm saying to you is Venezuela could very quickly come on stream with 3, 5, 10 million barrels a day. The only thing that has stopped Venezuelan oil from being on the market in mass is Venezuela. Okay, the corruption of the dictators-elect. But I think we have bottom in Venezuela oil exports. Now, the market is saying no. The market is saying that it'll be a disaster when 1.5 million barrels comes out of Venezuela production. I don't believe it's going to happen. Now, here's another side of the story. The other thing that's driving this market is the fear of sanctions on Iran. Now, Donald Trump's making a lot of noise, but let's look at his record. He makes a lot of noise on the sanctions, big press meetings, big production. He's another TV producer producing the Donald Trump Hour. And that is, these sanction things with the signing ceremonies. And we're going to stop all steel from coming to the country. All countries are going to have to pay a huge, huge, huge import duty on steel. What happened? Well, he slapped some minor sanctions on Vietnam. And Vietnam was very definitely cheating. But so was everybody else. So what you've got going on here is that the bark is worse than the bite. And I don't see Donald Trump torpedoing his election with his base having to pay record price for gasoline. So here's the analysis. What we believe is happening is oil is very close to peaking. Now, we always said that 72 to 74 is where we felt they would run the oil to on West Texas Intermediate. We got there. That 80, 81, 82 on Brent is pretty much in the market. And what's happening now is this high price is starting to choke off demand. You can have a situation where tariffs and sanctions take oil out of the market, but guess what? Demand falls faster. And we're very much at the tipping point. See, remember that you have seen oil go from, the beginning of the year at $60 a barrel, and now we got oil that is at $72 a barrel. Well, guess what? That increase is more than $10 a barrel for foreigners because in their respective currency, they've also got a dollar that's come up in value. So they've got the dollar surcharge, the dollar tax, on top of their oil. And these combination of events are really ratcheting up the anxiety of the oil market. Now, they're also doing something else, and that is everybody's producing to beat demand. We now are sensing some cheating of quotas by both Russia and our good friends, the Saudis. We are hearing rumors of oil coming out of the market in Angola, not true. Nigeria oil not coming to market, not true. Like Libyan oil not coming to market. None of that's happening. In other words, what's an amazing situation is that right beneath the surface, you've got people who are exempt like Iran, and Iranian oil comes up every month, more and more comes to market. Iraqi oil comes to market. The Iraq miracle is that they have come to some kind of settlement, and they all know they need the oil. So very quietly, more and more oil comes out of Iraq. Iran's been producing to beat the band. They have signed big oil contracts with the Europeans. The Europeans are now at a standstill basis because they're not sure what's going to happen. In other words, is this oil embargo really going to go on? Is the United States really going to stop Iranian oil? Is a deal going to be made? And that's an unknown. But let's see how it goes. Right now, in the oil price, they are assuming that Iranian oil is coming out of the market. Right now, in the oil price, they're starting to price in Venezuela sanctions taking oil out of the market. What happens to this market when Russia and Saudi Arabia start fighting? They've done every other time in the past. When the Russians decide that they need money, they need oil, they need it to flow, and they break the rules. Every cartel falls on cheating. And we're basically very close to the cheating level, okay? They've exceeded their wildest dreams. They've gotten $80 barrel oil. So what is the end game here? Well, the end game is that when you run out of all the things that drive the market to the top, now what's left is driving the market to the bottom. We believe that oil is very close to a top. What do I mean by close? Well, we start the Memorial Day weekend, which is traditionally driving season in America. Okay, that takes you through June, July, August, September, okay? Then we get to Labor Day, and that ends the bonanza. And normally we see the peak in driving for 4th of July weekend. Now, we got oil over $3 a barrel, $3 a gallon on average across the United States. But get this, that's not the story. In the population centers of New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, we're hitting $4.50 and $5. Same thing in California, in the San Francisco area. So although you've got very cheap oil, say, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, they drive the averages down, but the population's not there. The huge population of America is on either coast, and they are looking at $4 plus gasoline on the retail level. And that is now enough to start choking demand. That means that it's not just the consumer, but also you got fleets of vehicles built that run on diesel and gasoline. They're seeing sky-high prices. That's crimping profits. So all of a sudden, this oil price is now high enough where it starts crimping demand not only in third world countries that really can't afford it, but in America too. So now the bet becomes, how high do you want oil for how long? Every single time we've seen oil hit these peaks, every single time there's a big party, production comes on, and the oil price collapses right back down again. And that's exactly what you're going to see happen this time. Now, we've had Venezuela as an item in the market with embargoing oil for the past 10 years. We've had the same situation since they began the trade negotiations with the Iranians, right? And Iranian oil just managed, remember last time? Iranian oil just managed to somehow come to market, okay? Somehow the oil got loaded on boats. Somehow it got to somewhere and people didn't care, normally in Asia. And somehow they got around the sanctions. Do you really think it's going to be any different this time? Really, really, truly? Venezuela? I mean, give me a break. It's too valuable of a commodity, too much in demand. And the problem is there are too many powerful countries that want that oil. So that means that this oil is coming to market one way or another at some price through some backdoor means, and it's going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming. So what have you accomplished? Well, you've created a false price on oil that is too high based on sanction hysteria. You have fundamentally changed the market. See, now that we're at $70 a barrel, we've now changed the market fundamentals. We now have got a situation where, okay, we are going to cut back. We don't need as much oil. We can't afford these prices. And now you affect the other side of the equation. That's demand. Now, you start taking demand out of an oil market, and you don't get the removal of the extra barrels. Okay, that's the barrels that are coming out of Venezuela. The barrels are coming out of Iran. You don't get them out of the market. And then you got another factor. And that is all your other producers are well incentivized to bring oil to market. You know, there's a lot of oil that got shut in at $50 a barrel, as you know. Remember, for 35, 40, 50, the rig count went down, oil market exploration stopped. Well, guess what? It's party on, game on. Rock and roll is here to stay, and oil prices are the story of the day. Now, at $70 a barrel oil, all bets are off. Now, get this. At $72 a barrel in the United States of America, the price of crude, and $79.38 in the Brent, that is a $7.16 difference. Now, it costs you to insure, load, unload, and charter a vessel and take that oil to China $1 a barrel. So that means that you're getting paid $7 a barrel to compete with other suppliers of oil when you bring the U.S. oil there, right? That means it's a hell of a bonanza. It's a bonanza for the people who are exporting U.S. oil, loading on boats, taking it out. Now, let me tell you what else. You've heard well about the situation. U.S. ports are not adequate for the super tankers, okay? We don't have enough. But what they're not telling you is that the older generation carriers that are smaller size, that fleet of boats was mothballed. And then it was used for storage. And now, guess what? Those boats are in demand, although they don't carry as much oil. With a $7 price differential, they don't have to carry that much to make a lot of money. You know, if you got a $2 differential, that's $2. If you got a $5 differential, that's a $5 premium. So that $2 to $5 makes a big difference in your economics. How do my numbers work? So now what's happening is, although the ports aren't there to load the super tankers, there are there to load the others. And there are very clever ways of getting oil onto those boats. And that has also changed the equation. So what you've done is you've driven the market. You are bringing in exploration and production like never seen before. Really, really, really. It's unbelievable what's going on there. It's a party out there. They are punching holes at an unbelievable rate. They are getting that oil. They're getting it fracked. They're completing the wells, and they're moving on. They're hiring more and more people. They're bringing more and more resources, more and more rigs, signing more and more deals for leases on land that contains this frackable oil, recoverable. And away we go. What's happening? Well, the markets have been astonished at how fast America is gearing up to produce more and more oil. You ain't seen nothing yet. Now that we've passed that $60 threshold, oh my God, that means that there is a whole lot of money to be made and a whole lot of demand for a whole lot of oil, and people are incentivized with huge profit. Now remember, there's at a time where there's not a lot of really profitable things you can do. The commodity market's on its ass. Agriculture's not doing very well at all. Gold, silver, platinum, all in trouble, right? Well, what do you got? You got an item that's hot. You got an item that's profitable. You have got techniques that bring a maximum amount of oil to market that never worked before. The whole equation has changed. So what are we doing? We are bringing on the oil tsunami. We are absolutely breaking the back of the market. Let me explain to you. Once you frack a well, once you put the pipeline in, once you've made the lease on the land, once you've done all that work, you've paid for it at the $70 basis of oil. Well, what happens if oil falls back down? Or when should I say oil falls back down? Well, guess what? You've got all the capital paid into the market. There is no reason to stop. You continue playing your game. You continue letting the oil come on because the profit's already there. See, it's the capitalization. It's the infrastructure, okay? Once it's done, you get away from that production cost. And when they tell you how much it costs to bring in a well, they're calculating the cost of the well. But there's another price, and that's the production cost. That is the cost of producing from a well that's already been fracked, from a property that's already been leased, from a pipeline that already exists, and now it's a fraction of that. So that means that once you capitalize the wells like you're doing now, it's the dumbest shitting thing you can do. In other words, Saudi Arabia and the Russians have colluded to get the oil price high. The hysteria in the market about sanctions was just an added gift from them. Venezuela going up for grabs was another added gift, which they're really going to take advantage of. So what does it mean? Well, now you've got a situation where, oh my God, the oil is coming on like never seen before. You are literally holding the price high artificially to finance your competition to put you out of business. I want to repeat that. They are literally financing their demise. They're literally financing a collapse in the oil price. They are literally financing the next generation of who the oil giants are going to be. And it's not going to be Middle Eastern assets, okay? So you have changed now the oil production dynamics in a way that's never seen before. Now, fracking and the inventing of fracking was something that OPEC, the oil majors, didn't understand and didn't calculate. Even now, to this day, they are underestimating the amount of frackable oil that's coming to market. They are underestimating how fast infrastructure will come in. That's the pipelines. That's the terminals that will hold the oil. And then they are really, really miscalculating how much the transportation side of this equation is radically changing. When you put all that together, you are sowing the seeds for $35 a barrel oil in the next 2 years. That's what I said. $35 a barrel oil in the next 2 years. You are moving into a market that is going to collapse. You're moving into an energy equation that favors America and favors fracker. And it takes a lot of other oil deep sea projects out of the equation. Now you add the fact that we have fracked less than 1% of the known frackable projects, okay? When you look at the amount of shale oil deposits around the world, we haven't scratched the surface on that, okay? There are vast shale oil deposits all over the world. Russia has vast shale projects, and they haven't started yet, okay? This is just the beginning of the fracking revolution. Fracking is becoming more efficient. It's becoming cheaper. It's becoming more productive. And all the horror stories you heard where the wells have to be refracked over and over again is just not true. So you have a market that is giving you an enormous opportunity because oil is not going to stay at these levels. Oil will not maintain this. The Venezuelan oil is coming to market one way or another. The Iranian oil, with a very short resort, look, is Iran, you're backing Iran into a corner, right? What is their source of money? Pistachio nuts and magic carpets? No. It's oil. They know how to get the oil out of the ground. They know how to load it on ships. They know how to sell it. Do you think a little inconvenience like sanctions is going to really stop them? And the answer is hell no. It didn't stop them the last time. It won't stop them this time. So what's happening is the markets are overestimating the effect of sanctions. They are underestimating the amount of supply that's coming to market. They are not calculating on demand being choked off by higher prices. So you've got a perfect storm of miscalculations from one end of the world to the other. I have seen this over and over and over again in the oil market. I don't know why that is. It beats the shit out of me. They make the same mistake over and over again. Now, let me tell you something. The Saudis are not wanting to take their oil company and sell it to you because they have faith. The Saudis are saying, we want to diversify out of oil. Well, if oil is so much in demand and you have the lowest cost of production in the world, why are you getting out of a business you've been in for donkey years that has been very profitable for you? You know what the answer is? They have truly assessed the situation, and they realize that $80 a barrel oil is not here to stay. So at $80 a barrel oil, they're better off selling the oil company to someone else who's paying on the basis of $80 a barrel oil, and let them take the market risk of $35 a barrel oil lower. In other words, they are selling the company at the top. They are selling the company based on $80 a barrel oil that they know is not sustainable. Pretty clever move, huh? So people are being set up for the fall here. This Venezuela sanctions is an issue, but the Venezuelan oil will be coming to market. This Iranian sanction is played against sand. We've been through this before. That oil will come to market. So we are now at a situation where the price is now calculating in Iranian oil embargo. It's calculating in sanctions against Venezuela. It stops the oil from coming to market. It is calculating ever-increased demand. It is ignoring U.S. soaring production and exports. And it is ignoring the really big thing, and that is at some point the Saudis, at some point the Russians are going to get tired of giving up all that money they have to do to manipulate this price higher. And you want to hear the other thing? It doesn't make any difference. If they keep their production low forever, the U.S. increase in production will more than make up for it. And guess what? It's not just in America. You got the same production crisis around the world. See, fracking is one of these ideas whose time has come. And like I said, a very small percentage of the frackable properties in the world have been fracked. Fracking technology is now proliferating. You can buy the equipment, you can buy the technology, you can buy the rigs, the expertise, and now you're going to see the fracking revolution go around the world. And that is at a time where demand is peaking. High prices choking off many producers. It's producing many producers' customers. It's producing an artificial barrier to buying, consuming, and using. Do you know how many airlines by this time next year are going to be in financial crisis? I mean, this huge increase in the cost of their fuel is just devastating to them. Two things make an airline, okay? And that is your labor costs and your fuel costs. Their labor costs are running out of control. There are pilot shortages. They're all having to pay bribes and pay higher prices to pilots. And now you got the fuel costs going up. Holy shit. This is the kind of stuff that all wipeouts are made out of. Now, consumers. Okay, look at the consumer. Okay, consumer now is seeing a huge increase in the price of their gasoline. That means that vacations get shorter, get closer to home. People are not driving as much. And that has ramifications. The same thing with ticket prices. Ticket prices are going to start to rise. And as they rise, well, that chokes off, again, demand. We've seen it many times in the airline business. So we are sowing the seeds of the next oil wipeout. We are sowing the seeds of the destruction of price. And we have got the oil companies that have done this over and over again, making the same classic mistake again. So here we go down the road of a horrible, horrible coming collapse in oil prices. And for us, that means a huge payday. It is time that you realize that the oil market is being driven by rumors. It is being driven by facts that are not real. It is not considering the growing inventories that are on ships. It is not counting the growing exports that goes right into the heart of the OPEC market. Okay, especially the Saudis. The United States is literally stealing the Chinese business away. Now remember, the Chinese got another motivation. If they buy, they don't have a balance of trade problem with Saudi Arabia. They do with the United States. So if they switch their buying to America, well, that's an export out of America. That's an import to them. Voila, balance of trade crisis starts being mitigated by higher purchase of energy at a higher price from America. So you are in the sweet spot. Oil prices are ridiculously high. They're looking very toppy. They could run another leg up, but I don't see a bigger move of any significance here. I think we're very close to a top of what has been a nice little oil market manipulation based on things that just aren't so. All right, I'm going to get out of here. By the way, tonight at 6 o'clock, we'll be live streaming. We'll have a webinar also. We're live streaming here on the Premium Pub Publications, our webinar on the Nick's Wellness. And we got another success story. Asher's going to tell how this program has changed his life and reduced his medications, got himself the most fantastic blood work numbers he's ever seen. This is really changing life. Also, we're going to talk about our affiliate program for subscribers only. So we're going to be launching this as it's one of my hobbies that went wild, right? And the technology is real. The results are stupendous. And we're going to take this where it's going to go, as I often do in these projects. And we want you to come along for the ride. So tonight we're going to talk about how you can lose weight, put diabetes in remission, and hopefully get rich in the process. How cool is that?